Congress is playing Let's Make a Deal. It looks like there could be a compromise on a temporary spending measure for the federal government. The Republican-led House bill cuts $4 billion in spending, but is it enough for those Tea Party followers who want that red ink erased? Congressman Mike Burgess is a member of the House Tea Party caucus. He says we don't need to raise the debt ceiling. We need to cut, and he joins us now from Washington. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning, Carol. It's great to be with you.
So are you happy about this apparent compromise that will keep the government up and running?
Oh, I don't think happy is the operative word I would use, and I'm always a little nervous when I hear words like deal and compromise. But let's be honest, this is a reasonable step to take. I wish that the Congress had stayed in session this past week, House and Senate both, and worked through this thing. You'll recall the week before last, we stayed up till 3 o'clock in the morning every night of the week trying to get this continuing resolution done, to get the work of last year done so we could fund the government for the rest of this year and get on to talk about next year. We did our work. The Senate, unfortunately, decided for whatever reason it was more important to leave town for a week, and so we are where we are.
More into that, because I think that many Americans wondered about that. They're at this big budget impasse. The government may shut down. They still don't really have a permanent agreement on how much should be cut from the budget. So why did they go home for the President's Day week holiday?
No, that's what this American wondered about as well. Where was the Senate the week that we were working till 3 o'clock in the morning every night, and the Speaker allowed us to bring every amendment to the floor that anyone wanted to bring? Where was the Senate doing their work that same week? Because ultimately you are going to have to put both sides together. You're going to have to forge whatever kind of conference report or compromise is out there and pass it by both houses before it becomes law. So we know that has to happen, so I don't see why the delay.
So this compromise between Senate Democrats and House Republicans will keep the government open for 2 more weeks, and then you guys are going to start hashing things out once again. These $4 billion in cuts, you said you're not exactly happy about that. What would you like to see done?
Well, honestly, there has to be a much more aggressive stance taken toward federal spending. Now, I voted for the cuts 10 days ago that the House put on the table. Criticism I get back home is that, wait a minute, you've really cut $61 billion only, and with a $1.5 trillion deficit for this year alone, how are you ever going to fill that hole with that type of timid response? And that's a legitimate question. Clearly, at some point, the spending in Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security has to be talked about. One thing that no one's talking about is we're fixing to explode the deficit with the subsidies in the insurance exchanges under Obamacare, and that kicks in 2 short years.
Well, let me ask you this quickly before we run out of time here. You know, these $61 billion in cuts that Republicans want in their totality, I mean, even Goldman Sachs say they would hurt the economy. You know, and the economy's in an unstable state right now.
It'll hurt Goldman Sachs, and maybe that's a good thing. Look, who profits from the selling of all this debt every week down on the world exchange? It's the middleman. It's Goldman Sachs, so no wonder they're upset.
Well, that may be true, but some people are wondering that within that budget there are no real, like for example, oil companies. Why not cut oil subsidies to oil companies? Why not get rid of those tax breaks that big companies have? Wouldn't that save lots of money too?
Yeah, bring up the plan. I'd love to see it, and no question about it. Everything should be on the table. We made some cuts in defense spending the last week, and I think all in all that was good. They're programs that I have supported in the past, but at the same time, it's a new day. We're borrowing 42 cents out of every dollar we spend, and we just can't do it.
Okay, I could go on and talk to you forever. Thank you so much for joining us,
Thank you.
Representative Burgess.